Hey everybody, welcome back. It's kind of a madhouse today in my house, so I'm not even going to attempt to record anywhere else. I came into my bathroom to record. We are going to talk about Realm 3 Carnivore today in just a minute.
With every start, we are born again. Open your heart.
So I'm sorry that this video is a little bit late because I was going to do it at the beginning of January and then I didn't. Life's gotten a little bit crazy. So I figured it was more than past time for me to do Realm 3 Carnivore in the 3 realms of keto. We've talked about keto and we've talked about ketovore, and now on to carnivore. Let's go ahead and recap ketovore and what that looks like. When you're ketovore, you're primarily animal-based in the foods that you eat. You just include some veg, not a ton, and you are still very low carb. So a lot of people are probably 80 to 95% animal-based, and then the rest of what's on their plate at any given time will be some kind of low-carb vegetable. There's a lot of people who thrive on ketovore and absolutely love being there. By this point in time, you've probably done a lot of those N=1 experiments and you know what works with your body and what doesn't. So then why would you want to even consider going carnivore? Carnivore is the ultimate healing diet. Carnivore is generally not viewed as a weight loss diet. A lot of people who are in it for weight loss tend to do better in some aspects on keto or ketovore for the weight loss aspect. The thing about carnivore is that it is the ultimate healing diet for hormone optimization. It helps balance your body again when it used to be kind of okay here and okay here, but not all aligned the way that it should be. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're doing carnivore especially, weight loss is a happy side effect of health. Carnivore is really a diet that's more about getting healthy, not about weight loss. There's a lot of other things that will happen when you go carnivore that will lead to weight loss eventually, but for many people it actually takes a lot longer for that to happen because the healing comes first on carnivore. The weight loss is a side effect that comes after the fact. So let's go ahead and define carnivore. Carnivore would be someone who only eats from the animal kingdom. Now, there are some carnivores on the spectrum. Of course, remember the color wheel. There are some carnivores on the spectrum who do include spices and even some sauces, even though those are plant-based. How strict you want to do carnivore really depends completely on you. Like I always say, this is about you, and you have to figure out what works best for you. I can give you suggestions and point you in the right direction, but you're the one that has to make the decision. So let's just go with kind of relaxed carnivore for right now. If you're first starting on a carnivore journey, you have the option to keep in spices and seasonings and even some sauces and things like that until you get to the point where you want to try to remove them. So what this would look like every single day is that you would just eat nothing but meat and products from the animal kingdom. Many people who go carnivore decide to keep in dairy for the time being, and eventually they decide to do a little bit of an experiment to see if they do better without the dairy. That usually comes down the road. So you're going to eat primarily fatty meat, and you do not ever want to let dairy be the star of the show. Cheese is not a meal. It is a side dish. It is an accessory to your meat. So it's the bling that goes with the entire outfit. You don't want to focus on dairy and let that be considered a meal. That will cause a lot of problems. When you're carnivore, most people don't like to track. I agree with this and I disagree with it for several reasons. One of the great things about carnivore is that it's very simple. And for a lot of people, you are able to eat until you are full and then you are able to stop. However, there are some people that are fairly damaged from their previous ways of eating, whether it be yo-yo dieting, binging, or even preventing themselves from eating. So they have hormonal imbalances that have not been corrected by keto or ketovore. Leptin and ghrelin resistance can be one of those issues. So you can eat and eat and eat until you're literally stuffed and your stomach is sticking out and you're feeling bloated and lethargic, and still not get the signal to your brain telling you, yo, you've had enough, you're good, you're done. If you have leptin and ghrelin resistance, then eating until you're full or comfortably stuffed doesn't work for you. You will overeat. And then that is going to cause other issues like maybe weight gain. Then it can also lead to things like fuel toxicity. Just like too many carbs is bad, too much fat can also be bad. If you're eating so much fat that you're not getting in enough protein, or if you're over consuming your fat, maybe you are getting enough protein, but you're over consuming the fat compared to your energy level and your energy expenditure every day, that can cause problems. So go ahead and try it. If you're gonna go carnivore, go ahead and try it without the tracking. But this is where you do kind of have to know yourself. Because if you are someone who can overeat and put down pounds and pounds and pounds of food at every single sitting, that's probably gonna be too much unless your metabolism is already adjusted to how much you are eating. Then there's other people who are kind of like me on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I've always been a chronic undereater. So if I were to eat just until satiety on meat alone, I would barely eat. And that's actually what happened to me when we tried to go carnivore. We were carnivore, hardcore carnivore, for 7 months, including all of the organ meats. We were taking the capsules and we were only eating animal meats, and we even went dairy free, we went coffee free with organs. I mean, we did it quote unquote right. But after several months of forcing myself to eat what I needed to because I was tracking, I got lax and I started to undereat and not eat enough. I knew I was doing it, but I just couldn't bring myself to eat more and more and more meat. I finally got to a point where I wasn't even able to swallow the first bite, let alone the next bite. So for me, hardcore, all-in carnivore for optimization, balancing your hormones, getting everything right with organs and electrolytes. Don't forget about the electrolytes, the unflavored, unsweetened electrolytes at that. It didn't work. I would love to tell everybody that carnivore is the ultimate diet for everybody, and if you just do it for 30, 60, 90 days, all of your problems will be solved. I can honestly tell you that for me, it didn't happen. Now, does that mean that I think carnivore is useless? Absolutely not. I think that everybody should try 30 days of all-in hardcore carnivore. And there's a reason for that. Because you could be one of those people that it benefits far more than you ever imagined or expected. It could literally be your next golden ticket, like I said in one of my last videos. But you won't know until you try. I highly, highly recommend that everyone try it. Richard and I tried it. He was able to do it far better than I was. My body just really didn't like it. It did not want to keep eating only meat, which is why I ended up back in the ketovore realm and seemed to be doing really well. Yes, I am doing the little experiments right now to add in some other carbs and things like that. But keep in mind, I'm also keeping my carbs to like 30 grams a day, no more than 40. So keep that in mind too, which is still technically considered low carb by some. For some people, they will find amazing, incredible benefits besides weight loss, or to include weight loss on carnivore. Until you try, you never know. I know some people who have had extreme and amazing healing on carnivore. Look at Kelly Hogan. I mean, she's lost so much weight and she looks phenomenal just eating burger patties all the time. People like her thrive on carnivore. I don't know if it's genetics or what it has to do with. Maybe it's just the type of damage that their bodies had. That is all they needed to do to get healthy. And yes, she's been doing it for a very long time. I know a lady who healed her cancer by going all in full carnivore. No chemo, no other medications, no other treatments whatsoever. She simply ate meat and nothing else. And her cancer has been completely put into remission. It is gone. All of the markers are completely gone. What's really cool is that she's actually a member of our Mighty Network. So we get to learn from her and talk to her and spend time with her. So whenever someone comes in with any kinds of those questions, we're like, guess who you need to go talk to? But these people are real. They really do exist. In the Mighty Network, I am not that person, but I have people in my group that are like that because we understand the importance of finding health for every single individual person, and that it looks different for every single individual person. The color wheel is full of teeny tiny little pixels that all blend and mesh together, and they stand side by side, and some of them look very, very similar, but they're not. They are not the same. Everybody has to tweak this diet in any form or fashion to fit what they personally need. So you can think of the carnivore diet as an extreme elimination diet. It's like GAPS, if you've ever heard of that, where you are eating only certain foods and certain amounts of those foods sometimes, because it reduces the inflammation, and it's usually the highest inflammatory foods that can cause the most problems. Well, what's really cool about carnivore is it removes even more of those foods than a lot of those other diets do. They take you down to just the building blocks of your body. So it really is super anti-inflammatory and can help you learn a lot about your body. I highly, highly recommend that everyone try at least 30 days of hardcore all-in carnivore. Yes, you're going to have some cravings to work through, and yes, you're going to have some imbalances and some adaptation, just like you did when you went keto. Usually the adaptation to carnivore isn't as bad, but sometimes it's still a little bit rough. Upping your electrolytes can be very, very helpful and is imperative when you're starting anything like this, because the lower carb you go, the less you hang on to those electrolytes, the more of them are shuttled out of your body when you go through this adaptation period. The carbohydrates hold on to water. Hydrate, carbohydrate. And the water is what holds on to your electrolytes. So if you are barely eating any carbohydrates, maybe just the few that you're getting in your eggs or a little bit of dairy, remember your bling, not the whole outfit, then you aren't going to be holding on to many electrolytes. So supplementation sometimes is necessary. And I do recommend it in the beginning just to help make the transition a little bit smoother. For a lot of people, I know a lot of carnivores who don't use any electrolytes whatsoever, and I do know many who do as well. You got to find out what works for you. You can even take carnivore further than that. As if eating just anything from an animal wasn't enough, you can take it all the way over to super, super strict carnivore, where you're eating just one animal, or even just one cut of one animal. That is a thing too. I do know some people who live on ribeye alone, and they've been doing this for 20 years and they are thriving. I don't think that everyone needs to go that extreme, but it's kind of fun to play around with. Because if that's where your sweet spot is and it happens to last for years, then why wouldn't you stay there? Figuring out where you fit on this spectrum is absolutely the number one important thing in this journey. You have to know you, and you get to experiment on yourself, and you get to play around and see what happens and where you feel the best. Just like me, I've been on this journey for 3 years. In reality, that's a really small amount of time. There's not a lot that's happened in 3 years, and because this is a long, drawn-out journey, I have so much more to experience and so much more to go through on my health journey. And I truly believe that by the time I get to the end of this journey, I'll be able to look back and I will be amazed at everything that I have gone through and accomplished. I know that I'm not there yet, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. My goal is always going to be moving in the right direction, one step at a time towards health, no matter what that looks like. Whether it's what I'm eating or what I'm doing, how much light exposure I am getting. Am I doing cold therapy or hot therapy? So many different things can affect our bodies in so many different ways. I want to experiment with all of them, but there's only so many hours and sunlight hours in a day, especially right now. So I can only do so much. I have to be patient on this journey to finding health, to see what's going to work best, and it may only work for a time and not last forever. I would love to say that once you find your happy place, it's going to stick for the rest of your life. But unfortunately, as we age, our hormones do their own things. We have to make different tweaks and adjust in different ways to be able to keep up with it. So while carnivore could be considered the most simple realm of all, because you just eat meat, there are still quite a few nuances that you can tweak and make it your own in this space. So carnivore is a giant space, just as ketovore and keto are, but you still get to make it your own. Determining exactly which herbs and spices you do well on, should you choose to keep them. What about salt? Maybe you want to go without salt, or you want to make sure that you keep a lot of salt in. Every single person is different, and I have absolutely no magic crystal ball to be able to tell you, oh, I want you to eat like this, and if you do this, it'll be perfect. If that was the case, then none of us in this space would have a job. If everyone could just eat meat and get healthy and be done with it, fantastic. I wouldn't even need to be here. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's not enough. Sometimes there's gut healing that needs to happen. Sometimes there's emotional healing that needs to happen from things in the past, like eating disorders or even traumas that have happened to you. There's so much more to it than just what you eat. But what you eat can be a huge part of the foundation. And that's actually what we're doing right now in our Mighty Network, is we're getting back to balance in January and finding our center of balance and what we're focusing on. Most of it is absolutely what we're eating. And in the months to come, we're going to build on that foundation so that every single person in the group can find their natural balance and where they fit the best. I hope that you guys enjoyed this update from my bathroom, and that it gives you an idea of what carnivore is. I highly recommend that everyone try it. You don't have to stay there forever, but I think you should at least go visit, because who knows, maybe it really will be the best place for you for years to come. I hope that you all enjoyed this and found value in this. Please do all of the things. And check out all of my links down below in case you are interested in other places to find me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Mighty Network, and of course, I will always be here for you. So, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on the way. Bye.
Trying to watch a movie. Silly puppies.